The symptoms of concentration and problems at school is something that a parent really struggles with. To try and find out whether these are things that children just do as a normal child, as one of my parents said the other day, just being a boy. Society has, almost a very low expectation of a lot of boys when they're at school. So if they get a little bit out of hand, they behave in a busy way, an impulsive way, it's often just being a boy. So with ADHD, it's all a matter of degree and the impact. To find out if your child needs an assessment, and you've got to ask yourself some of these questions. And I'm going to give you some idea as to what would be important questions to ask yourself. And if you can answer the question yes to many of these, then you may need to want to consider whether your child needs an assessment. Does your child show at least a few signs of ADHD? ADHD is a triad. There are symptoms of inactivity, almost inattention, quiet, spacing out, then hyperactivity, and then impulsivity. Some kids show all three. Some only have trouble with focus. You don't have to have all three. Or with only two. Keep in mind, hyperactivity, the older you get, looks really a lot different. The busyness tends to disappear. And the older one gets, so the hyperactivity doesn't become as much of a problem the older you get. But ADHD impacts many other skills. You might say, is my child's behavior very different compared to other children? Kids can be diagnosed with ADHD as early as preschool. But kids that grow and change quickly and at different rates, and these problems change very quickly. So you've got to be aware, as a child gets older, you need to look at how these children act for their age and behave. Are they behaving like a typical child for the age, or are they acting in an immature way? And you've got to ask yourself, is this behavior really representative of a child for the child's age, or are they acting for somebody who is much younger? Is your child struggling at school, and how much? How much do you hear from the teacher that your child doesn't listen, moves around, or talks out of turn? Is the behavior getting in the way of learning? Ask the teacher the question, and they can often give you those answers. Keep those channels open. If you're receptive and you show that teacher that you are receptive to learning about whether your child has a problem, they will in fact share those problems with you. Does your child have a hard time socially interacting? Kids with ADHD often struggle with social skills. They might blurt out conversations. They like tune out when other people are talking. It can make it hard for them to keep up with friends. So learn how your child is interacting socially. Pay attention to how they're making friends. Do they keep friends? Do they have lots of friends? Do they keep them? Are they constantly having difficulty, arguments, falling out with friends? Is your child's behavior causing problem at home? ADHD is not just a school problem. It causes problems over every area of life. It might be a bit different at home because they're more comfortable. They're not under as much stress. So these symptoms might be different at home. Kids with ADHD often have trouble managing their emotions, and these are often problems that you might see at home. They might be moody or angry. That may make family life very stressful for everyone. Find out why children with ADHD struggle with emotions. Think about why that is the case. It's a self-control problem. It's a problem of being able to manage self-control, and emotional control is just one of those facets. Are regular routines a constant struggle? How many daily routines does your child struggle with? Is getting up ready for school hard? Chores or homework? Children with ADHD often have trouble following directions, planning and organizing. Sleep is another problem to consider. Children with ADHD have a lot of trouble with sleep. There's a close association with sleep. Are they having difficulty winding down, getting to sleep? This is very hard for children with ADHD. So we're often tired at the end of a day, and these are big challenges for somebody with ADHD. Having too little sleep can lead to poor attention. Is your child constantly getting into trouble? Are other people very critical of your child? These can be warning signs. Children who are hyperactive, impulsive, get a lot more negative feedback. Teachers, family, friends, and even total strangers can be very critical. Is your child becoming unhappy, losing their self-esteem, becoming anxious or frustrated all of the time? Is your child starting to feel very negative about themselves? It can make things very, very hard. Children with ADHD often have trouble with mental health, like anxiety, depression. And sometimes only an evaluation can sort these out, whether in fact it is ADHD or something else. So some of these symptoms that I've mentioned, if they ring a bell, don't ignore, don't leave them. These are a constellation of problems that I see as a pediatrician, I've seen over many years. They're early warning signs. They're little warning bells. Rather deal with it. If there are other problems, well and good. But ignoring these problems could delay your child getting the help that they really need.